everybody, this is Big Stack Numismatics. It is Saturday, January 29th, and I want to give a special welcome to all my fellow coin collectors out there. I have another early American commemorative to feature on this channel, and pretty excited about that. I also have my checklist, so we'll be able to go through and mark another one off the list. But this one is the Boone from 1936, minted in Denver. Let's take a look at this one. Iconic American figure, Daniel Boone. This coin was minted, actually let me give you the details here first. MS66 as rated by Pcgs, kind of an early holder here. But this was minted to commemorate the 200 years from Daniel Boone's birth in 1734. And this particular example is very lustrous, really nice open fields, and of course a beautiful shine with that. Alright, let's take a look at the back. And here we have Daniel Boone standing next to a Native American leader. This, like as I mentioned, this one's minted in 1936, but also on the side here it does say, I gotta go double check again, 1934 Pioneer year. And so what's interesting about that, and I'll have to go into this just a little bit, during this time of the early American commemoratives, a lot of times the way they minted these coins and the way they released these coins was particularly frustrating for a lot of collectors, because they would purposely make changes in the coins and then make them difficult to get. And I know that what happened was, when this was originally minted in 1934, all of the coins that they minted in that year, I feel like it was like 10,000, were all sold out. Great. They were going to mint these throughout the next several years. But then they did some legislation to make some changes to it. They added the 1934 here above Pioneer year for some of the coins. And so then if collectors wanted all of them, they had to go through the process of trying to order them from the mint. And interestingly enough, as frustrating it is for us to try to order coins from the mint today, they had the same problems. They were told, oh, we're all out. But really what they were doing is they had only sold 25% of them, and they were waiting for the prices to escalate, and then they were going to release them to dealers and speculators and all that kind of stuff. And so many of the people that were looking for these coins had to turn to the secondary market and pay markups right away. And so that was frustration for the collectors and stuff like that. But a little bit about Daniel Boone. So American pioneer, and there's been many fables and myths and all that kind of stuff about the man. But he was a frontiersman, widely known for forging the way to Kentucky, and he founded his own town, Boonesboro, in Kentucky, and 100,000 or more people followed him in the years that he did that, and he created his own little settlement there. And of course, he was known for being a hunter and a tracker, and good shot with his gun, all of the above, right? Some interesting, going back to this right here. So I believe that the person that he's standing next to here is the Shawnee Chief Blackfish, in front of a stockade on the left and a rising sun on the right. Okay. What's interesting is that Boone was actually captured by a group of Native Americans in the Revolutionary War. It was American Indians that were basically on the side of the British. And to make a very long story short, he was captured with a bunch of his men. He decided to surrender. They were vastly outnumbered. And he convinced the Indians at that time to not attack Boonesboro and take all the women and children. He said instead, take them, and in the spring, that they can come back and they'll surrender voluntarily. Well, he was such a convincing person in sparing his men that some of his men thought that perhaps he had turned coat and was a traitor. And he had to actually face a court-martial after the war and all that kind of business. But bottom line is he spent several months and his men as well. They were spared their lives, and they kind of were adopted into the tribe, so to speak. And then he escaped and was made a famous 5-day trek over almost 200 miles back to Burnsboro to warn everybody, to shore up the defenses, and then to lead an attack against the rest of the folks and free his men and all that kind of stuff, if I remember correctly. But yeah, he was a very, very famous frontiersman. So Daniel Boone. And again, let's just take another look here at the obverse of this coin. One of the things I like about this particular coin is there's so much open fields available. And so, of course, if you have a high-grade coin, it just makes it look very, very nice. Beautiful coin. All right, let's take a look at the PCGS certification page here. See what information we can glean from that. All right, so this one is the 1936 minted in Denver. It doesn't have anything here on the exact mintage. On another page, I did see that they minted about 80,000 of these. Several of the later years were not so popular for a lot of the reasons I mentioned earlier, and they were sent back to the mint to be melted. So yeah, not a whole lot of information here. There's about 318 MS66s as graded by PCGS, and about 86 of them that are MS67 or above. Current value of 300. I purchased this. I feel like I paid 240 when I got this. I think it was last year. Let's take a look at the value over time. All right, price history going back to even the early 70s. You know, they're saying 20, 30, 40 bucks, all the way up to about 1980, which says it was worth about $300. Then it skyrockets all the way up to almost $2,000 in the late 80s and crashes back down in 1995, $290. I think the low from this point on is about $230. Climbs back up to the $400, dips back down to about $240, and this was 3 years ago. And now it's appreciated in the last several years up to $300. And of course, this is retail value. You know, they're not making more of these, and I'm really glad at the opportunity to collect them now. Because, you know, it just depends on where in time you're getting these. But I do feel like I had people warn me on my channel in my comments saying, you know what, quit buying the commemoratives. You're not going to make any money. Well, and I just want to address that by saying, number one, making money is not my primary concern. I would like to have a typeset of all of the early American commemoratives. I just feel like that would be awesome to be able to pull them out and look at them one by one. And I do feel like it would be a nice heirloom, something to pass on, you know. I personally feel like something like this will be worth more in the long term, but I just don't think it's going to crash down. I don't think you're going to say this is worth 25 bucks now. You're going to have buyers for this at the price that I purchased it at, even a little bit more. And over time, I think it'll appreciate. So, but either way, not an investment so much for me as it is just American history, and so, to actually hold these coins and to be able to have them, I'm kind of hooked on it. So pretty satisfied, especially with this pickup right here. All right, let's take out our checklist. So here we have my early American commemorative coin checklist. The latest, the George Washington Carver is the most modern one, all the way back down to the Columbian Exposition one, and that was last week's video, or 2 weeks ago, I guess. But yeah, we have 11 of them on here, and we get to check off this right here, the 1934 to 38 Daniel Boone Bicentennial $50. Let's go ahead and add that. So there we go. We now have 12 on the checklist, and many, many more to collect. So that's what I have for you today. I sure appreciate you tuning in. I want to keep on in my efforts to try to do a typeset of these. And every now and then I look on Heritage and some of the other coin auction sites and even eBay for some of the more rare ones to see what might be out there, especially that Hawaii one. So wish me luck on that. But that's what I have for you today. This is Big Stack Numismatics. I sure appreciate you watching, and we'll be back at you next week. You guys have a great rest of your weekend. Take care.